Good afternoon, Canada. So excited to be here with you all today to talk about our two new amazing products. We introduced them on Friday, and I know everybody's been ordering, and that's absolutely fantastic, and lots of promotion happening, which is wonderful. And now today we're going to have some more insight from the very wonderful Cindy Clement, and she's been a guest speaker with us many, many times. She's gone on tour with us. She's been at convention. And she's definitely a sought-after speaker for Canada, and I think she's pretty much an honorary Canadian at this point because,
I am.
Yeah, for sure. She loves it.
I have the T-shirt to prove it,
And we just absolutely love having Cindy with us, and her knowledge is very extensive. So her credentials go down a mile long, so I'm not going to spend all day with that, but we all know her and love her. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Cindy, to talk about really detoxifying and the gut microbiome.
All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Hope it's a beautiful day where you are. I got to tell you, we love that northern Canadian air coming in right now to Michigan. It's always so clean and fresh. Oh my gosh, we just love it. So today we have a beautiful day. So thank you. Thank you for your northern winds. As Rancha indicated, we are going to be talking about detoxifying and what's called the gut microbiome today. And the gut microbiome, well, first of all, let's just say that all of the latest research now is confirming that our diet affects the microbiome, and how they kind of explain the microbiome as the ecological community of good and bad bacteria that shares our body space. And I want to tell you that science is just mesmerized by our gut bacteria. They're spending an awful lot of research tying so many of our health concerns and so many of our diseases all back to the gut, which is just, to me, just absolutely fascinating, because especially with Nature Sunshine people, we've been talking about the gut for an awfully long time, haven't we? So microbiomics, they have lots of bio and microbes and all that kind of stuff, but microbiomics, what they're saying is it is the very next big thing. And again, like I mentioned, science is just so enthralled with what they're finding, how our gut bacteria affects our bodies. Now, Nature Sunshine knew it was important when they started their company, and way back in the early 70s. They knew that the gut was important. They knew that detoxifying was important, as well as did a lot of our old teachers that we all followed in the 70s. So for those of you who have been around for a long time, you'll remember Dr. John Christopher creating a cleanse with herbs. And you'll remember that Dr. Bernard Jensen and Stan Nalstrom and even in Jack Richeson's Little Herb Encyclopedia, there were all this talk about how we had to keep the body clean. And in fact, even the ancient people were interested in keeping their bowels clean. If you do the research, you'll find out that they took long neck gourds and they hollowed them out, dried them in the sun, and that's what they would fill with water and use as a type of enema. So today, however, it's not just natural health anymore. In fact, Western medicine has kind of gotten on the program with us. Before it was like, oh, you silly people thinking about your bowels all the time. Well, guess what? They found out that we are right, and so they're very interested in gut health. So much so that the Functional Medicine Institute, or I can't remember what it's, Functional Institute of Medicine, something like that, they teach physicians for a very hefty price, of course, probably a $3,000 price tag, but they are teaching medical doctors all about this topic. So here you can see we've got Pennsylvania State University on the cover of their medical journal talking about microbiomics. But the guy who's really excited about all this is Dr. David Perlmutter. And so he's the one that talks about the connection between the gut and the brain, and as well as something called fecal transplants. So let's go back again. You know, Western thought we were nuts because we were trying to detoxify our bodies. And yet, today, at Cleveland Clinic in Ohio, or Johns Hopkins University, or the University of Alabama, they are now charging $3,000 per treatment for folks to have what is known as a fecal transplant. And I'm going to show you what that's all about as we go on with our lectures. Just one moment, please. Alrighty, I just had to get my bearings here on what I'm clicking. Okay, so next, let's talk about the intestinal ecosystem. And again, there's lots of words for this: microbiome, ecosystem, ecological system. They're just calling it all kinds of things. But in essence, your microbiome has about 100 trillion cells. Now that's about 10 times the number of cells in your DNA. And just as scientists were charting our DNA, you know, they now have our complete genome mapped. They are now mapping our gut microbiome, and they estimate that we have 40,000 different species of that 100 trillion microorganisms. So this ecosystem, it digests, it detoxifies, it produces vitamins in our body, it shapes our immune system, and it's also the source of what are called neurochemicals. So those are brain chemicals, like a serotonin, if you will. So this is a very important part, and again, science is just giddy over this. We have to go back. Let's go back 2,500 years ago. Even Hippocrates said all disease begins in the gut. So this is not a new concept. This is something that, you know, has been around for 2,500 years, but because Western medicine is interested in it, now all of a sudden the science is there to back it up. So the main job of the gut is the digestion and elimination of the toxicants. And again, Nature's Sunshine knew that. Now this tube that begins with our mouth travels all the way through our body, from our mouth to our throat, to our esophagus, into our stomach, going into our small intestines, and then into our large intestine, and all the way down through the anus. So this is a huge tube, and we have to take incredible care of it. Because once digestion is completed, those nutrients then penetrate what is called the mucosal membrane. So here we have like a little image of it. And I want you to know that this is absolutely microscopic. You would not see this if you opened up an intestine. But what you can see here is that in one of these villi, if you will, our intestines are filled with little hair-like structures called villi. And this is a magnification of one of those villi. You'll see that there are these red capillaries and these blue capillaries. Now the red capillaries are what are transporting, the red capillaries are delivering the nutrients. They're grabbing onto the nutrients and delivering it to the bloodstream, whereas the blue or venous capillaries are transporting different things from the body, whether it's chemicals or metals or drugs or toxins or excess hormones that our bodies make. This gets transferred to the liver, and then the liver itself dumps this waste or this toxicity into bile. So bile is really important. Bile enters, if you look on this illustration, you'll see something called a bile duct. You see that little area there? And then they're pointing to something very pink called the duodenum. What happens is the pancreas and the gallbladder both secrete their enzymes through what is called that common bile duct into the duodenum. And what that does is the bile enters, and the bile helps to digest our fats. It carries the waste material with it. And then the pancreas, its enzymes help to break down the carbohydrates and the protein. So let's again go back to this bile that has those toxins in it. That bile then, as it enters into the duodenum, that is the first portion of the small intestine, it continues then in its transport all the way to the large intestines, and then it leaves the body in your stool, in your feces. So let's talk about that perfect bowel movement, if you will. A perfect bowel movement should not take any longer, believe it or not, than urinating. And when you feel the peristaltic motion moving, that's that movement when you go, ooh, I need to use the bathroom. When you feel that motion, that should give you a comfortable, you should be able to reach the bathroom comfortably upon feeling that. Not this sudden rush, not diarrhea, but this like, okay, I need to use them. And then when you sit down with one long push, that waste material should come out in really one long, round, smooth stool. When you wipe yourself, there should be hardly anything to wipe away. If that's what's happening for you, you've got a great microbiome, I can tell you right now. If on the other hand, you're one of those people that is straining to eliminate waste material, straining so much that you're creating hemorrhoids or things like that, or it's very broken up, or it's very, you see the undigested food particles in it. All of these things are indicating that your microbiome is not working properly. So bile, again, back to bile. We have to pay crucial attention to bile production and secretion in the body. Again, bile aids our fat digestion and helps to evacuate the toxins in the liver. So these are just more images of that bile being secreted and traveling through the body. Now the bowel itself, when the food is delayed, when the passage of the food is delayed, it can putrefy. It ferments, and this is what causes that awful odor in some bowel movements. It's been in there too long. It has putrefied. Now when that happens, you've got a lot of waste material that you are retaining. And when you retain a lot of waste material, these microbes then that are in that feces excrete their own toxin. Their own toxin is called an endotoxin. And it injures the intestinal area, and it also throws that microflora, that good and bad bacterial balance, out of balance. And it can create also a lot of injury to the bowel. So if we look at this image of leaky gut, this constant injury by these toxicants will literally damage that mucosal lining. Now you've got leaky gut, or you've got all kinds of inflammatory bowel disorders. Now look again really carefully at this image. And on the left, you're going to see, again, these little villi. That's those little fine like hairs that do a lot of work in our intestine and line our intestines. You'll see they're pointing to something called a tight junction. And basically what that's showing is that it's keeping those villi very tight together so that different things, undigested food particles and toxins aren't entering our bloodstream. That's what that's showing you. So when you look over on the right, however, you see that we're leaky. And what makes it leaky is that you've lost that tight junction. And now you've got this gaping opening. And again, this is microscopic. We can't see this with our eyes, but it's a gaping opening microscopically that allows that junk to get right into the bloodstream. And it creates this inflammation, which is like makes this thing happen over and over again. You've got leaky gut, so bad things are getting into the blood. It's creating inflammation, and inflammation creates leaky gut. So it's just this wheel that continues to happen. So the term that we use when that microbiome is out of balance is actually called dysbiosis. And really it just results from an imbalance of those microbes that we're talking about. And again, it creates that fermentation, that putrefaction, that's the odors that you smell, or it even can create an overgrowth condition of a fungus or yeast spores in the body. Of course, it could host parasites. Parasites like a dirty area. And it also weakens your immune system, something called GALT, which we're going to look at, and something called the ENS, which is your brain-gut connection. So first, let's start with GALT. GALT stands for gut-associated lymphoid tissue. It is one of the largest masses of lymph tissue found in our body. And when leaky gut happens, the door opens for these substances to really get in there and impair our immune system. In fact, they know that GALT is one of the main causes of these chronic degenerative diseases that we have so much of today. So the little blue dots are kind of showing you where the lymph tissue is. Now you can see that below on the ovaries, you're seeing that it's genital tract associated lymph. That's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about the one above it inside the small and large intestinal areas. So GALT, gut-associated lymphoid tissue. Now the ENS, on the other hand, ENS stands for the enteric nervous system, which is pretty much, and that's just a huge microscopic image of it on the left, that black and white image. You'll never see this again, but what you're looking at is a plexus or a group of about 200 to 600 million nerve cells in your gut. That equals the amount that is found in the spinal cord. So we always ask, you know, have you ever had a gut feeling? Of course you have. We've all had a gut feeling. And this is where science, in fact, this has been known, my goodness, for probably over 20 years now. Dr. Michael Gershorn was one of the very first physicians to actually explore the brain-gut connection. So what we know, and if you look again over on the right side now, you're going to see arrows going from the brain down to the gut and arrows going up from the gut to the brain. And what that's indicating is this, that we call that the bottom-up, top-down, believe it or not, gut reflexes and gut-brain connection. So what we are showing you here is that if your intestines are a mess, and you've got 200 to 600 nerve cells in your gut, what happens is if that gut isn't happy, it can produce anxiety, depression, mood disturbances, and stress. And likewise, if the brain itself, if our central nervous system is not, we're already anxious and depressed and we've got a lot of stress and mood disturbances, it will affect our gut. So we know that there's a very, very strong brain-gut connection. And again, we have to take care of our gut. It's just crucial today with what we know in science. So here's how it works. Everything is intimately linked. Our poor habits create inflammation. Inflammation results in diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular disease, and then it leads to toxicity, because what's happening is this inflammation and this poor diet are killing the good bacteria, and then the bad bacteria increases. And remember, that bad bacteria has those endotoxins, right? So now it's like a self-toxicity in the body. So what we're looking at here is the effect of poor food choices. Now, if on the other hand, we had healthy bacteria, we would have good health. If we ate a healthy, mostly plant diet, we'd have really healthy bacteria and really good health. But when we start to eat those poor food choices, especially sugar, we now have unhealthy bacteria. And again, what we know is that this causes a lot of our health issues. Now, we also have to take into account that that bad bacteria creates that toxic environment, so those endotoxins that leak to the rest of the body, and now you've got that inflammation. So now you've got that wheel turning. The wheel says, oh, there's inflammation from the diet, but the inflammation then creates more damage, and on it goes. So this is an interesting research project, and this is what really started getting people's attention. In September of 2013, Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis did a study. How they think of these studies, I have no idea, but it was brilliant. They took microbes from twins where one was obese and one was thin, and they introduced the microbes, and I'm talking about feces here. We're talking about a fecal transplant that Dr. Perlmutter is all excited about. So they took, I'll say, feces from these twins, and they introduced them into twin mice. Now, these twin mice were same weight, same height, you know, everything was exactly the same. They were like identical twin mice. Interestingly, the obese humans' microbes resulted in obese mice, but here's the kicker. The mice continued to be fed the same diet and have the same exercise. So the only difference was in the gut microbiome. And this has just set science on a journey. They love, love, love this study. So what we know is that this microbiome, and I love this illustration, Bacteroidetes and Firmicutes. Look what these people are eating. So you look at the leaner one. She's got more Bacteroidetes. Bacteroidetes make up the most substantial portion of your gut, your gastrointestinal flora. And they benefit the host or the person by keeping pathogens or bad stuff from colonizing in the body. That's what Bacteroidetes do, and they're increased by protein. Now the Firmicutes, on the other hand, they produce toxins that can survive even extreme conditions, and they are increased by a high refined carbohydrate diet. That's why I mentioned previously, we've really got to watch out for the sugar that we're eating. So here again, it's just like a little correlation. You see that the obese has more Firmicutes and the high carb diet, whereas the leaner people have more Bacteroidetes, a higher protein diet, especially plant protein. So that's, you know, some of these new protein powders that are going to be coming our way. So just as a summary, some bacteria produce toxins called endotoxins, and those are not our friends in any way, shape, or form. These endotoxins, they create inflammation. Inflammation, we know now from that previous illustration, support leaky gut, make those tight junctions weakened. And then these endotoxins enter the bloodstream through that leaky gut and get into other tissues of the body. They get into our muscles, they get into our fat, our liver, and our brain. So again, it's like a self-toxicity inside our bodies and creates inflammation, which not only results in leaky gut, but also type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and obesity. All of these things can happen. So here are just a few studies that show the research that science is doing on what are called endotoxins and their relationship to insulin resistance or metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes. It's kind of all the same thing with just a small variation. And again, how these endotoxins relate to obesity, and they really are, scientists really are tying this all back to the gut microbiome as the underlying cause of all of these issues that we have. Here's another study that was done with gut bacteria associated with obesity and type 2 diabetes. And it was a fascinating study because what they found is that probiotics and antibiotics were shown to have a protective effect on obesity and diabetes. And folks, they were scratching their head on this one. How could obesity and diabetes be affected positively by an antibiotic? So again, they did their research, and what they found was interesting. When the people were taking their insulin, but then they went on an antibiotic, surprisingly, they used less insulin. Now, we don't want to be on antibiotics all of our life, but science wanted to understand why was this happening, and what they found is that these people, when they were taking that antibiotic, it was killing all the bacteria in the body, both good and bad. but it was killing all the bacteria in the body. So then what happened is a lot of those endotoxins were destroyed. A lot of the bad bacteria was destroyed. But like you and I and everyone on this call know, is when you take antibiotics and you do wipe out both the good and bad colonies in the gut, what's the first thing to repopulate? Yeah, the bad. And so we end up in all kinds of problems with yeast overgrowth and fungal issues and all of that. And the reason that the probiotics worked, of course, in their studies was because, again, they were kind of putting those endotoxins in their place by overpopulating the gut microbiome with good bacteria to keep that stuff in check. So our gut's a war zone. We've got a lot of microbes in there, and they have a huge impact on our health. So depending on what kind they are, they can be beneficial or they can be detrimental. So as the slide says, we've got a war going on. So what can we do? Well, a lot. We have what we call targeted support. We've got to really seriously think about changing our diet and introducing good bacteria. We also have to kind of tame those firmicutes and tame some of that yeast and fungal spore overgrowth and just tame that whole microbiome. So changing your diet, changing your gut microbiome, you have to change your diet. Nobody wants to, but it's how good do you want to feel? I always say to people, how good do you want to feel? Food can produce massive amounts of endotoxins, and again, that causes inflammation, a poor insulin response, metabolic syndrome, creates obesity, and now we know why. People used to think, well, when I eat junk, when people eat junk, they gain weight. Well, now we know why, because it comes down to the gut bacteria. So I think it's just all really fascinating. And when we talk about poor food choices, many of you will remember that after a 2-year visit to the United States, Michelangelo's David is returning to Italy a little pudgy, right? And because he's been eating the wrong things. And yes, we say this very tongue-in-cheek, but again, it's not just this overeating of calories. You could eat 3 pieces of cake a day, and stay under 1,500 calories, well, depending on the size of the cake, but you could eat 3 pieces of cake a day with 1,500 calories, and you still wouldn't lose weight with excessive exercise because you're not building the right kind of gut bacteria. It really comes down to that. So much so that in some of the studies that they did, they took subjects and had been eating healthy for quite a while, and they put them on a bad food diet. Okay, so they took these healthy subjects. They had them on a Western diet, which pretty much is a bad diet, for just a month. 1 month. And they increased the endotoxin levels by 71%. Folks, that's huge. Now, when they ate a prudent style diet, again, they were able to reduce the levels by about 1/3 every month. So while you can increase it in 1 month, 71%, it's going to take you 2.5 months to undo that damage. So my question to you is, can you commit to 1 month? Can you commit to 3 to 4 months? It just might be part of the reason that you haven't been able to lose those extra pounds, even though you've been really, really good on your program. We've got to look at the gut bacteria. So we're changing our diet, but we also have to look then at introducing probiotics. Probiotics are damaged by, as we know, antibiotics, because an antibiotic goes in and it kills all bacteria, good and bad. That's just how it works. Anti-bio, bio is life, so it's anti-life. Anything alive in your gut is going to die. Probiotics are destroyed by birth control pills, by steroids, by coffee, by tea. They're destroyed by heat. If you're taking probiotics and drinking a cup of hot tea with it, it's not a good idea. And sugar also contributes to less probiotics in the body because it causes that imbalance. It allows those bad bacteria cells or microbes to grow and overpopulate the good that you're trying to build. So as we look at some of the food sources of probiotics, we'll think about fermented food, something that's fermented, something that's cultured. So we always think about yogurt or sour cream or kefir or sauerkraut, and even cottage cheese is a cultured food. And the kvass that you see on there, number 7, is actually a Slavic beverage that's made from black rye bread. Isn't that interesting? And the natto, number 4, is what the Japanese, they take soybeans and they put Bacillus coagulans on them to ferment them, and that is their source of probiotics. And of course, pickles and kimchi and kombucha and all of these things, but folks, are we eating it every day? Are we eating this stuff every day? I don't. I mean, I'm honest with you. I don't have something from that chart every single day. Now, the interesting news is this. Probiotics, as the slide says, are white hot. Half of the dietary supplement gains in 2014 were a direct result of probiotic sales. Last year alone, they grew 24%. In the United States alone, it is a $1.5 billion market. What's telling us is that consumers are aware of the gut and immune properties of probiotics. And now that you understand the nervous system's part in that, you can help educate them even more so. So here we've got a legal break. Arantxa, why don't you tell us a few things about convention?
Thanks for getting us started there. If you haven't noticed, there is a handout, basically of the slides on your right-hand side there. It says handout, so there's a PDF document you can download and save to your computer for later. This webinar has been recorded, so we'll be definitely up on the website, hopefully definitely by the end of the week. So you can listen to it again. We'll also be sending out an email link with the recording of it to managers as well and putting it on Facebook. So if you want to listen to it sooner, it will be available for you. And before I let Cindy jump back on, I just want to remind everyone that convention is coming up super soon in Calgary, and it's coming up in October, and October 13th through the 15th, Thursday to Saturday, and we will be doing an informed training on the Sunday. So make sure you are marking that in your calendar and getting ready for that and looking for flights and into Calgary. Obviously, WestJet and Air Canada. WestJet has some seat sales on, so definitely check that out. But there's going to be so much information there, and launching Inform Advanced, I guess, or 2.0, all the great new products that will be coming out associated with that. So very excited about convention. So make sure you're putting in your calendar and getting ready to go and come see it. So I will turn it back over to Cindy so she can dive into a little bit more deeper into what she's been talking about and how it relates to some of our products.
All right, thank you, Arantxa. And I'm hoping that I will be invited to speak at convention because I've got a lot to share. And believe it or not, I just wrote it in my book. So we'll see what happens with all of that. That sounds pretty good to me. All right, so let's talk about, we talked about changing our diet. We talked about introducing probiotics. Now, what do we do to tame that microbiome? So Nature's Sunshine is creating a product line with the trademark name of Nutribiome, the Nutribiome family. And this is a line of products being developed to strengthen that gut microbiome and what's called its inhabitants or its residents, as the slides say. So it's really based on getting that gut in good working order. The very first product that is out is called the Bacillus coagulans, and this is a really interesting product. It helps to nourish and repopulate the good bacteria in that gut microbiome, the gut ecosystem, the echolot, whatever you want to call it. And it talks about 3 billion, and it's a CFU, 3 billion C as Charles, F as in Frank, U, CFUs per serving. A CFU stands for a colony forming unit. Now a serving is 3 capsules, so just think of it this way. Each of those capsules has 1 billion units in it of good bacteria. It's a shelf-stable product. It no longer requires refrigeration. You can drink a cup of hot tea when taking it because it's heat resistant. it doesn't affect it at all. You could put it in your spaghetti sauce if you wanted to, something hot on the stove. It really is heat stable. Now what's interesting about it is it also has in it something called a prebiotic fiber. And prebiotic fibers are incredible for building the immune system, for helping control diarrhea, bloating, gas, mood, because we know about the brain-gut connection, but also asthma. Do you know that probiotics have now become the standard treatment for asthma? I just think that's so fascinating. Again, science is really giving us a lot of good information on how all of these probiotics work. So this NutriBiome has, again, as I was talking about, this heat stable, it can withstand your stomach acid and has both probiotics and the prebiotics in it. I think we've got a video next. Let's see what happens.
A biome is a community of plants and animals characterized by a particular environment. You may know it as an ecosystem, which can exist on the macro or micro scale. A slight imbalance within one specific environment can cause far-reaching effects that damage the immediate biome and threaten others around it. The various systems of the human body work together to promote health and well-being of the whole. But disorder in one system can ripple outward, affecting the function or health of other systems. Modern science is just beginning to understand the vast and varied biological landscape within the digestive tract and the role that it plays not only in the health of the digestive system, but also throughout the entire body. Introducing NutriBiome, Nature's Sunshine's line of probiotic supplements that help nourish and strengthen the gut microbiome and its resident microflora to support overall health. The NutriBiome line offers daily use all-purpose probiotics such as Probiotic 11 and Bifidobacillus fluorophorus, as well as targeted probiotic formulas like Acidophilus and our new Bacillus coagulans. Bacillus coagulans provides targeted support for the digestive and intestinal systems as it helps defend against digestive upset and occasional diarrhea, gas, and bloating. A naturally heat-stable probiotic, Bacillus coagulans can better survive the acidic environment of the stomach, helping it deliver targeted support to the intestines and help maintain the delicate balance of the gut microbiome. This shelf-stable probiotic can go with you anywhere without losing potency, and it's been blended with prebiotic fiber to help promote growth of friendly bacteria in your gut. Support your gut microbiome with NutriBiome Bacillus coagulans from Nature's Sunshine.
Pretty cool stuff, you guys. All right, so this is the other product that we're introducing today, and this is called Detox Basics. Folks, I always call this daily detox. So if you hear me saying that, this is what I'm referring to. I don't know why I have a block about this, because I think of it as a daily detox. So it's hard for me to remember the name. It shouldn't be. I'm just going to say sometimes I slip. So see, I just did it. Detox Basics is a daily detoxifying program to detoxify, to assist the liver, that microbiome, to help with overall gut health and kind of keep those endotoxins in check. And it's filled with antioxidants. And antioxidants are something that are incredibly important that we need to detox our bodies. So it really is a perfect companion, whether you want to detox and cleanse, or if you're on what we call a body composition program. That's the polite way of saying a weight loss program. This can help because as you look back at the information I presented, you can see how obesity is incredibly related to this bad bacteria overgrowth in the gut. So while you're on that weight loss program, adding in Detox Basics, or if you just want to do a gentle daily detoxification program, this is the one that you can use. Now, let's kind of look and see what's inside of it. It has lots of ingredients, and we're going to go over all of these ingredients and just kind of give you an idea of what they're all about. But I'm just going to point out at the bottom, you'll see vitamins A and C, and those are called the antioxidant vitamins. Vitamin A, C, E, and the mineral selenium. We call those the ACEs. And the ACEs are the, I will say, fat-soluble vitamins and then the little mineral selenium. But those are the ones that can help assist the liver in detoxification of the body. Whereas the choline and inositol, they are something called a vitamin B cofactor. And so they're not really a vitamin B vitamin, but they're kind of usually shoved into the vitamin B family. And why those are in this product is because they were found to combat what is called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Fatty liver disease occurs often with alcoholics, but what they started to find is that as our health around the world became more and more, what do I want to say, bad, we just all started getting sicker and sicker and sicker, they started noticing that people had fatty livers. Well, these toxins can create a fatty liver, and when you have a fatty liver, folks, it is not detoxifying properly. So they add a little bit of choline and inositol in there to assist with any kind of fatty liver disease. But let's look at berberine. We've talked about berberine on some of our trips across the country before, but Indian barberry, and there's a little picture of it, and by the way, IR stands for insulin response, so berberine IR. It's very good at strengthening the gallbladder. It has anti-inflammation properties, and we know that's important when we're talking about gut health. It has antioxidants that help the liver with one of the phases of its detoxification processes. It aids the growth of a healthy microbiome by reducing the yeast overgrowth, by reducing parasites, by, you know what I mean, just really keeping this gut bacteria healthy. So, and in the meantime, it's helping to control glucose response and insulin response in the body. Now the next ingredient, and I'm telling you there is so much research done on something called N-acetylcysteine, or NAC as it's called for short. So what NAC does is, it, as you can see, it enhances mobilization of toxicants. Now what that means is it's kind of hard sometimes to get these stubborn toxins out of the body that have buried themselves in your bone or your fat or even your brain, believe it or not. So what NAC is so good at is mobilizing it. That means get it out of the tissue. And it can also increase the rate of elimination from the body, which is great because after we've gotten it mobilized and moving about, we sure don't want to hang on to it. Now what NAC, one of its other very important things in the body is, if you look at that illustration, you'll say it increases glutathione, chelates heavy metals, helps that immune system, counteracts chemical poisoning. But the most important piece on there is this increasing of glutathione. NAC is a precursor to glutathione. In other words, if you have enough NAC in your body will make the master detoxifying substance in the liver called glutathione. And that's why the NAC is so important in this combination. Now the next one is the bacillus. We've already read about this, and we know that it repopulates the gut microbiome or the ecosystem. We know that each capsule has 1 billion colony-forming units. It's shelf-stable, and it also has what we call that prebiotic fiber. And the prebiotic fiber, by the way, is called inulin. It's a water-soluble fiber. And prebiotics, pretty much, they have a special form of delivery fiber that acts almost as a fertilizer for the good bacteria in your gut. So when you look at these foods, you can kind of see that prebiotics come from a number of different things. And these are the foods that are naturally high in prebiotics. So, you know, just to give you an idea, and again, are you eating these every single day? If not, I wonder if we're getting enough prebiotic fiber. Another ingredient in this product is, of course, dandelion. Dandelion has been used by traditional Chinese medicine for centuries to combat diarrhea, to improve the immune system, to detoxify the liver and the gallbladder, and to actually aid the kidneys functioning and the livers and gallbladder functioning. And dandelion too can facilitate excretion of toxicants from the body. Whereas milk thistle, and those of course are the little pictures of them down there on the slide, but milk thistle is very liver protective. In fact, so much so that it assists the liver in growing new cells and protects it from things like radiation and chemical damage. In fact, oftentimes now, because functional medicine is becoming so big and people are in the medical arena are excited about our historic herbal plants, they're now recommending milk thistle to patients with chronic liver diseases because of its ability to help assist in growing new cells. And then the last ingredient in the Detox Basics, see I said it right this time, is turmeric. Now turmeric enhances liver health, kidney health, blood and lymph, and something called endothelial functioning. Endothelial are teeny tiny little cells lining your cardiovascular system. Turmeric also boosts levels of antioxidants in the body. And again, in phase 1 of liver detoxification, we need antioxidants or we can't break those things down. So turmeric is anti-inflammatory, it's antibacterial, it's antiviral, so it too is supporting gut health by keeping those things in check. And I think we've got another video next. Here we go.
The human body is brilliantly designed to neutralize the wide variety of harmful toxins it encounters each day. Pollution, allergens, chemicals, food additives, and more are expertly intercepted, broken down, and eliminated on a continual basis. But even the best of our built-in defenses can use a little help now and then. All this daily effort requires daily support. Introducing Detox Basics Daily Detoxifying Program. Detox Basics provides your body with the nutrients it needs to naturally and consistently neutralize, prepare, and convert toxins for transport and elimination on a daily basis. Each convenient single-serving Detox Basics packet contains effective and trusted ingredients to help optimize the body's detoxification mechanisms, including berberine from Indian barberry to support gut health and combat endotoxins, milk thistle to support liver health and toxin elimination, shelf-stable pro and prebiotics to support balance of the microbiome and healthy detoxification, N-acetylcysteine, a precursor to glutathione, to boost phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification pathways and support the liver, circulatory, glandular, and immune systems. Because our bodies are exposed to a barrage of toxins every day, the best detoxification regime is a daily one. Help keep your body healthy, vital, and resilient with Detox Basics.
So what you can see, folks, is that the Detox Basics is something, again, that we can take on a daily basis. Now, for those of you who know me, I'm all about resources. This chart came from the textbook of functional medicine. It comes from the Functional Medicine Institute, or the Institute for Function, whatever it is. But here is this chart, and folks, as I mentioned, Western medicine is very excited about what we've been doing for decades now, decades, half a century or more. I mean, if you look back to the ancient Chinese medicine, we've been using plants and dietary changes for 10, 15,000 years, right? But here's what they're talking about. And when you get the slides, what I'd like you to do is, if you click on this image, you can click and you can copy it and paste it into a Word document, and you'll have access to it and you can enlarge it because it's very valuable. In the first column, they talk a lot about avoiding and removing the toxicants. So they're giving you some ideas of where you're being exposed and talking about ways that you can improve your exposure to toxins. And I have to brag for just a moment here. My book that I've been working on for almost 3 years will be out this fall, hopefully. And it is just been edited by a Wayne State University neurotoxicology researcher. And it's a very large book, but the whole purpose of that book is teaching you how to avoid and remove toxins and detoxification in the body. So it's pretty exciting. I'm sure you'll find out when it's available, but it's a very comprehensive guide. But this single sheet will certainly do for now. Now, if you look at the dietary support for detoxification, grapes, berries, citrus, burdock root, celery, chlorophyll. We love our liquid chlorophyll, don't we? Cilantro, the cruciferous vegetables, and there's our turmeric and curry. We've got dandelion, and you've got all kinds of foods as the list goes down. So this too, again, when science becomes interested in what we are doing, they provide a number of very, very fine handouts for us. So the next one is easily accessible. This is a link, and again, you can just go to that link if you like and download the University of Wisconsin Integrative Medicine Department Detoxification Guide. I think it's 12 pages actually, as I look at the top there. 12 pages of detoxification. And folks, University of Wisconsin is all excited about your herbs, all excited about NAC and probiotics and fibers. And so this is an excellent guide. It shows a person how to do a very comprehensive 7-day program or a very gentle and easy and simple 7-day program. But this is something that you can hand out that's already developed. It talks about all kinds of things. You'll love it, folks. And if you simply go to the first part of that, where it says FAMED, which of course stands for Family Medicine, .wisc for Wisconsin.edu, because it's a university. Instead of all the rest of that, if you just put a / and the word modules, M-O-D-U-L-E-S, modules, you won't just go to this. It will be available on that web link, but you will see a whole host of other phenomenal handouts on depression, anxiety, podcasts, things that you can use for cancer, things that you can use for hormones. I mean, just everything. So check that out, famedwisc.edu / modules, and you'll just be absolutely amazed. So folks, I love this slide because it talks about people do not decide their futures. They decide their habits, and our habits decide our future. So what kind of habit, what kind of change can you make today that you can really live with and change your gut bacteria over the next 3 months? Imagine you just put your mind to it, the changes you can make in your health in just 3 months. Now that you have that information on the bacteroidetes and plant protein, and now you've got that information on the firmicutes and that high carbohydrate diet and how that's affecting us. Because folks, transformation means we have to change the impossible to possible. We have to change what's called the unattainable to the attainable. It's just important. And if you can't do it alone, join an Inform group. Or if you can't do it alone, solicit a friend, just one single friend to work with each other. They can call you, you can call them for support. See how much of your body you can change in just 3 months' time. That's all it is, 3 months' time. So my question to you as we finish our webinar today is, can you commit to 3 to 4 small months of your entire life? 3 to 4 months. That's all we're asking. And now I'm going to turn it back to Lancha.
Thank you so much, Cindy. So I just have
Do you want to take the control of the take control back of the?
So I'm just going to go through a couple of things here, and then we'll try and answer some of these questions.
Okay.
Obviously, the fact sheets are available as well as the product postcards for each of the new products. They can be found on the website under resources and under products. The videos that Cindy showed are on our website, as you can see on the screen here. You just go on the product and then you'll see a section on the video, so feel free to share those. The promotion that is today and tomorrow only. Buy 2 Detox Basics and get 1 Bacillus coagulant free. So make sure you're taking advantage of that. That's only today and tomorrow. The information is on our website and on Facebook, so make sure you take advantage of that. We also have this promotion going on until the end of the month. So 10% off full PB or buy 3, get 1 free for either one of the products. So again, that goes until the end of the month. So look forward to taking advantage of that. Then we have this going on until the 24th. So again, some great products here: Psyllium, Stomach Comfort, Protein Digestive Aid, Blood Pressure X. So 10% off or buy 3, get 1 free. And the final promotion we have here is the Fort McMurray Relief Effort. So everyone that donates $20 or more is going to be placed in a draw for product gift baskets. And this is a picture of it. It's pretty sweet. And then obviously Nature Sunshine is matching that donation. So whatever you can do to help would be absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to move to questions here, Cindy, and see what we can get through.
Sure.
Oh boy. Okay. So, okay. Are you touching anything, Cindy, or no? Okay.
No.
Okay. Is it possible to receive the handout by email? Yes, I can send out the PowerPoint via email, no problem. Okay. Can we use Detox Basics on a nursing woman with fungus symptoms?
I would not, only because, and here's the reason why, because of the berberine in it. The berberine will lower or improve glucose and insulin response, but you don't want to mess with that in an infant because it will go right through the milk, and the infant's glucose and insulin response should be working really well by itself, and so we don't want to mess with that. So I would have to say no.
Okay.
You could take the bacillus for sure while you're nursing. That would be an excellent thing to do.
Okay, and then it says, what if the gallbladder has been removed? What is the effect of bile production?
Okay, so the only thing that all right, first of all, bile is not made by the gallbladder. It is made by the liver. It is simply stored in the gallbladder. And when the duodenum area senses something fatty, that's when the gallbladder kind of dumps into there. So what's happening if you don't have a gallbladder, there's a constant drip. You still have bile, but the only thing you're going to find is that the inability to digest fats, because you need a large surge of the gall bile in order to break up a fatty meal. So you're going to want to just be careful with that, or take the enzyme lipase. Lipase is the enzyme, or maybe any kind of digestive enzyme that has lipase in it will actually help you. But it won't affect the detoxification. It will only affect your digestion.
Okay, great. Another question, would you use both of the products at the same time?
I don't know that I would. And the reason being is, well, I guess it all depends. I think that you're getting a good selection of different plants and sources for detoxification. But if you do have gut problems, let's say you have no bloating, no gas, no diarrhea, no constipation, I don't think you need to take it. But if you do have those problems, or if you have mood disorders or immune system disorders, then yes, I would probably add the bacillus in.
Okay, great. One more question, is toe fungus a reflection of dysbiosis? Best way to cleanse?
Yes, it absolutely is. The skin is a reflection of what's going on inside the body. When you have toenail fungus, there is a dysbiosis occurring. So that would be the time I would say load up on the probiotics for sure. Really add in, and it's just like Candida. Candida is a fungus inside the body. Toenail fungus or foot fungus, like athlete's foot, is a fungus outside of the body, but it's all the same source. So really staying away from coffee, staying away from refined carbohydrates, really getting the diet down to protein and vegetables as much as possible, and then really populating with the probiotics as much as you can. And you can put things, of course, topically. You can use a Typhu, or you could use a tea tree oil or something like that topically to get rid of it.
Okay, great. And then, sorry, one more question. If on a cancer program, would it be okay to take the detox?
On a cancer program, I can't see that any of that would interfere. They don't necessarily, well, let me just explain the pros and cons. The cons are, is that Western medicine wants the medicine to stay in there. So they want the chemo to stay in there. And if you are cleansing the liver, detoxifying, you might be clearing the chemo from the body too quickly. That would be the cons. So if it's a chemotherapy, I would say you should probably not detoxify, but you could take milk thistle because that will help protect the liver from the chemotherapy. If it's radiation therapy, yes, you can absolutely detoxify. The radiation won't be affected by that at all.
Okay, and then one more final question here.
Sure.
Okay. Can people on metformin or other type 2 diabetes medication take berberine?
Okay, so good question. These are great questions, you guys. Thank you so much. This is a good question. Only if you're going to keep monitoring your blood sugar, because what's going to happen is you're taking metformin to reduce your blood sugar. And if you're taking another agent, such as berberine, your blood sugar could get too low. So you can only take that is if you're going to be really diligent about testing your sugar, you know, poking yourself and testing, staying on top of that. That's going to be the only time I'm going to say, yes, you can do it.
Okay, great. And okay, one more question. Sorry, everyone. I want to be respectful of Cindy's time and our time here.
Of course.
It says, are there, are there other than nursing, are there any other conditions that detox would not be good to do?
Children, absolutely. And absolutely not pregnant or nursing. You can't do it when you're pregnant, nursing. I can't think of, I mean, maybe if there's a liver disease in the body, it would be hard on the liver to, a chronic liver disease, it would be hard for the liver, in which case you would support the organs. But when it comes to pregnancy and nursing, really, the easiest way to keep things in check is with probiotics. Very safe to take.
Okay. And then, sorry, just in response to that one question about the cancer thing, she's asking, how about if it's a natural program?
Oh, absolutely on a natural program. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and all right, this will be the very last one because it's 2:02 right now.
You're so funny.
Human BP upsets a person's stomach even with food. Is turmeric better? Oh, sorry, I just bumped myself here.
Can you say the question again? I didn't get it.
I'm just trying to find it again. I just got bumped. All right. Okay. So human BP upsets my stomach even with food. Is turmeric similar on the stomach? Turmeric.
Okay, and just one more time. What is the one that upsets the stomach?
Curcumin.
Curcumin.
Curcumin, yeah.
I've not heard that. But again, everybody is so different. Golly, I would have to say you'd have to try it. You'd have to try and see. I mean, I have a client who, sounds really interesting, but anytime he gets anything with even a smidgen of red clover in it, his neck freezes up. There's just nothing written anywhere about that happening. But I'll tell you, he knows if a product has got red clover in it. So I think it's just an individual thing. So I guess you just have to try it. And I know Nature Sunshine has a return policy. So if you try it and it doesn't work, you can always return it.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Cindy, so much for your time. Truly appreciate your time with us today and all of your fantastic information and knowledge. I hope everybody's super excited about our 2 new products. Again, we've got some great promotions happening, so please take advantage of it, especially the one that we have today and tomorrow, and then we have the other one going on until the end of the month. Make sure you're sharing this with your, with your organization via email, if you have a newsletter, your website, Facebook, all that kind of great stuff, because we want people to be able to take advantage of these amazing products that we have to offer. So thanks, everyone, for your time. Truly appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, and again, thanks to Cindy for everything. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.